lounging. Yeah, how you living, ski? Yo, I'm just lounging, B. Yeah, how you living, G? Yo, I'm just lounging, B. Yeah, how you living? I'm lounging.
All right, so what episode is this of Loungin' with Larry? 5? 4? Do you know? 3. No, it's 4. All right, welcome to episode number 4, Loungin' with Larry podcast. We have Del Reid from 26 Shirts. Super happy to have you on, and love to talk to you about 26 Shirts. And, you know, I know this is going to go out to a lot of people that don't know about 26 Shirts. You know, my following, especially LinkedIn following, is around the country. So, I mean, maybe we can start with that. Just a brief intro about what 26 Shirts is, what they do, how it started, and the whole process. I know it started with one T-shirt a week for 26 weeks, which is now.
Yeah. Well, one T-shirt every 2 weeks, so it was a year. But
yeah,
you got it.
Yeah.
Well, you're wearing the Mafia sweatshirt,
right?
So
I had to, yep.
In order to talk about 26 Shirts, even briefly and how it started, it has to start with Bill's Mafia. So, you know, I coined that term, 11 and a half years ago, just as an inside joke among some friends on Twitter. It completely took off, became its own thing. And as a result, my social media audience grew and grew and grew. And eventually the Bills ended up taking over the name, which is cool and awesome. Yeah. And it's kind of, people think like, oh, you got robbed. Like, dude, I'm a footnote in Buffalo Bills history. Good enough for me,
Yeah, exactly.
But I have a good relationship with the team and all that. But anyways, during all of that, I always, there's, the Bible says to whom much is given, much is required. Uncle Ben, Peter Parker's uncle, says,
right,
with great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
So as this audience I had was growing and growing, I felt like I have to do something productive with it. I just can't tell the equivalent of fart jokes on Twitter and
right,
get a couple, likes or retweets or whatever. Like, I have to do something productive with it.
Right.
And so I just, was always brainstorming. Even my co-founders with Bill's Mafia, they were on that same wavelength. Well, we have to use this for something good. Okay,
right.
So what's good? I don't know. Let's
right,
promote what other fans are doing on their blogs and what they're doing to,
right,
reflect their love for the team. Let's do tailgate fundraisers to support Roswell Park. All these different things.
Right.
And then a couple of years into Bill's Mafia, I had the idea of, selling T-shirts to support local families. Right. Like you mentioned a moment ago, it was going to be a 1-year project. 26 shirts, one every 2 weeks. 52 divided by 2 is 26. That's kind of made perfect sense to me, and I've spent the past 9 years explaining it to people what the number means. But it means nothing now, because now we do a new shirt. Like, we do at least 2 new shirts a week now, so it's kind of all over the place. But yeah, so the 26 Shirts is a Buffalo apparel company and other things, but mainly apparel, where we sell, shirts, hats, all kinds of knickknacks now and everything. But everything supports local families in need and local charities.
Yeah.
So we've been around almost 9 years, and to date, we've been able to raise and donate almost $1.5 million back into the community.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I first, that's what kind of drew me to 26 Shirts, is that I always look, if I can buy something and I know a portion is going to something else or going to somebody else, that's, I will 100% buy that over just some generic thing or whatever. And that's kind of just how I am. I mean, my whole wardrobe has turned into buying, shirts from local places that I support. It's like I went to Wonder Coffee House downtown.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I'll buy a shirt. It's like my wife thinks I'm crazy. I'm like, you're buying a shirt everywhere you go. I buy hoodies, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, but it's helping them. It's supporting them. And that's, it's just an amazing thing that you've done. I mean, that's.
Well, thank you. It is definitely a team effort, because I can come up with all these ideas for businesses or whatever, but if people don't believe it, people don't support it.
Right.
I barely have any artistic bones in this body. I can fake it now and then, but not like what you see. Like, I did that logo on your chest. That's one of the few that I did. Yeah. But like something like this, the RJ design that we did with the Sabres, our creative director Josh designed it. I could never do this.
Yeah.
But so it takes a bunch of people, and it takes customers believing in the mission, and it takes our sponsors. We have a lot of sponsors that support us, because every business consultant that I've worked with, except for my most recent one, Tony DeSimone, because I told him in our first meeting, don't say this. He said he wasn't going to, but Tony, if you're watching, I don't know if I totally believe you. But no, I'm just kidding. It's like- no, but they've all said that we give too much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, that's too bad. That's
Right.
You're our consultant.
Yeah.
These are the rules. Help us figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's just always been the mission. Is I'm not trying to build an empire. I'm not trying to leave Kenmore. I'm not trying to drive a Mercedes. I'm not
Right.
trying to do any of that. If anything, as the business grows, I want to be able to give more. I want to pay my employees more, and I want to hire more employees because I like to think that we have a really cool place to work. And I'd like if I could invite more people in to lessen the loads that the current employees have, then great.
Right. Exactly. And that's the whole thing. And that's most people like, to start a business, say, okay, I want to make a lot of money. Well, that's great, but are you going to be happy? And that's where I come from too. It's like my business where I run, plastic business. We buy and sell plastic. When I worked for somebody else for 5 or 6 years, and I hated it. Like, I hated the business, and I thought I'm never going to stay in this business, but then the opportunity came where I had the opportunity to start my own business, within the plastics world. And, once you get that opportunity and you're, I kind of found the passion, you know what I mean? I wasn't, and I'm kind of an anomaly, right? I at first hated what I was doing, and now I love what I'm doing because now it's my own business and I'm growing it the way I want to. And I'm doing the things I want to. And I'm constantly trying to, now I have employees and trying to make them happy and the whole thing. And you're trying to make something that's sustainable for everybody else in that business world. And that's the same thing. You found something you're passionate about, and you're doing it. And yeah, money's not the whole thing. You're like, you could have all the money in the world and be miserable. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. And there's been times in the history of the business where we've been in a very good, financial position, and it's not that I could retire or anything like that, but it's kind of like, okay, all the bills are paid. We're not having a problem making payroll. We're not, everything's good.
Yeah.
Now what?
Right.
And you never truly arrive, but there's moments during the business like everything's running smoothly,
right? And
you feel like, oh, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
And so it has to be something that's not just like, well, how can I squeeze more money out of this business? It has to be like, how can I make this even better?
Where can you go from there? And we've done the same thing. I mean, I've been running my business for about 20 years now, and it took me 15 years of blood, sweat, and tears to be where I'm at now. And now I'm finally to the point where, okay, I'm doing pretty good. And it's like, I never, it's like all those years of struggling, you knew what you were doing. You were struggling the whole time. And now it's a different mindset. I'm kind of like, okay, where do I go from here? I'm doing well. I can pay my bills. We have cash in the bank to, do things that we want to do and buy inventories ahead of time and sell them or whatever. But, where do we go from here? And that's the thing. It's like, where do you go to? You've been growing and growing and growing, but I mean, where do you think your future lies?
Yeah. I don't know if that's rhetorical or if I'll try and answer if it's a real question, but I don't know, man. We've been implementing more things the past couple of years. Cause during 2020, it was funny in March, I was like, are we going to go out of business? Like as the world is kind of like collapsing in on itself and everybody's like shutting themselves in their homes. And then it turns out 2020 was our best year. Like we doubled our gross in that year. Yeah. And as a result, we doubled what we donated. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was crazy between the Blue Jays playing in Buffalo, which was our best selling shirt to this day. It's still our best selling shirt.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then the Bills just having the season they had, it was just like one just dovetailed right into the other. The Bills won the division for the first time in a million years.
Right.
And it was just absolutely, it was insane. And then, so as we've continued to grow since then, because just so many people discovered our brand just because of those two factors.
Right.
So as we've continued to grow, it's been like, okay, what do I do now? You know? And so I've been able to, 2020 was crazy because not only did you have COVID, so a lot of times I was the only one in the office doing I was paying some employees just to exist. I wasn't going to lay them off because, but like, so I would go in and I was doing all the work that had to be done manually, whether it was shipping and doing all that. And so it was a great year for us, but then at the end of 2020, we hired some. Then I kind of went on a hiring spree. So I went from 4 employees to now I have 7 employees.
Okay.
4 employees. Now I have 7. And, honestly, I'd like to even, bring on more eventually as we're able to.
Yeah.
We need to find a new space. Our location is great. We moved in the beginning of 2021 to a new space in Tri-Main that was twice the footprint that we had in the other suite there. So we need to find somewhere, whether it's in Tri-Main or somewhere else, we need to find more space.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, we'll see where we go. I'd like to maybe have a storefront someday, even if it's small.
Right.
Just so that even at the very least, so people are driving down Hurdle or Delaware or Elmwood, and at least seeing, even if it's a small business that has 26 shirts, it's just, people want to have my brand out there.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's like you've gone from, like you said, from one shirt every 2 weeks to, a couple shirts a week. So, and you're selling, the classic shirts too. You're selling, when I used to go on your website, it was more like, okay, you could order this shirt and that's it.
That seems so long ago. It was like, here's the shirt, and then we had a Chicago line for a little while and a Pittsburgh line for a little while and Cincinnati. Yeah. So here's the one shirt for each city. But then for a long time, it was just, here's the one shirt.
Right.
Then, we have a special edition. We have 2 shirts now. Holy cow. Now it's like this week we launched 3 shirts, 2 for Halloween and then the one we had scheduled for Monday.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So
that's what I mean. You've obviously grown and offering more shirts and have stock and things like that. I mean, and you're doing a lot of pop-ups here and there and around town. I see all the time,
Yeah, that's a new thing for us. We were just starting to get into that, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had to reset a little bit.
Yeah.
But one of my employees, Caitlin, is our events manager. Okay. So she manages. We have an events team, which aren't technically employees. We pay them, but we have an events team, like a street team, I guess you could say, that she manages and everything. She works with all the different venues. We reach out to different venues reach out to us. She schedules it all. She does an amazing job.
Yeah.
But even now we're doing 2 or 3 events a week. It feels like it's crazy. But there's an appetite for it, and you don't want to. What do they say? You got to make hay while the sun is shining, right? So
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you must get a ton of inquiries about different things all the time. I mean, anything that happens, probably, hey, you're doing a shirt about that, or it's like,
yeah. I mean, something happens. I mean, a terrible example is May 14th, and people immediately reached out and were like, "Are you gonna do a shirt? Are you gonna do a shirt?"
Yeah.
And the goal of 26 shirts is to put a spotlight on families that need a spotlight.
Right.
If there's already a spotlight on something, I feel really weird and awkward, and I'm really good at overthinking things, so it's probably part of it. Yeah. But I don't feel right about just sidling up there's a absolutely terrible, horrific thing on Jefferson Avenue. We're here to help.
Right, exactly.
But obviously we do help, but it's just, I don't know, it's a weird thing. But
you gotta be careful not to be like, okay, those guys are just trying to capitalize on that.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to be super respectful of every situation. Right. But in that one situation, Topps actually reached out to us.
Oh, nice.
And so I don't know if you saw, a lot of their employees were wearing them, and they were selling Buffalo stands together.
Yep.
So we worked with them on that campaign. Yeah. So that was a perfect fit. Topps reached out to us, so I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do that. But yeah, we get a lot of, dude, somebody stubs their toe on national television, and you guys should do a shirt for that guy. Exactly. It's an exaggeration. I don't mean to make light of it, but that sounds super cocky. I don't mean for it to. It's an honor to play that role that we do in the community.
Right.
But yeah, we do get a lot of suggestions here and there, and we get a lot of design ideas from people as well too, and some of them are good. But it's honestly it is, I don't take it lightly. It's an honor. When somebody says, "Oh, you guys should do a shirt about that," or you should you got to check yourself. Be like, "Well, geez." Yeah. Thank you for thinking of us.
Right. Exactly,
seriously.
Exactly. So, yeah. You don't, that's what I like about you is your head's not, can't fit through the doorway or whatever, you know what I mean? And a lot of people get oh, hey, I'm the big thing. I started Bill's Mafia. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you gotta, I mean, I know how it happened. It was an accident,
Right.
You know, and
Exactly,
I'm just, you know, like I said, I'm just blessed to be able to be doing this.
Right.
So I'm not going to take that for granted.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the whole thing. I think that, you know, the amount of designs that you guys have come up with too, I mean, it's just incredible. So let me ask you this, how does that process work? I mean, you know, I know there's probably a design team or whatever, but I mean, I mean, you must get ideas in your head, or even your employees must come up with, hey, well, what about this or whatever, you know?
Early on, a lot of the ideas were mine, but I think I'm out of ideas now. I think like one out of every maybe 15 or 20 are actually my idea. But that's a credit to, you know, this awesome team that I have and the community. Like we were just making little jokes about it, but like we have a lot of great ideas that come in just randomly into the inbox. Right. You know, sometimes it's artwork that's, you know, 90 to 100% done. And it's, like that's the best feeling when you come in the office in the morning and there's like a pretty much just design fully done. You're like, yeah, we'll run that. Sure, no problem. Yeah. But so, you know, so now and then we get the freelance ideas that come in. Now and then, rarely these days, just because, like I said, maybe I'm just tapped. I don't know. But you know, some of the ideas are mine. But like our creative director, Josh, comes up with a lot of great ideas. A great example is last summer, it was really quiet in the office. We're all just working and I'm typing away on emails or whatever. All of a sudden, like, he breaks the silence, like busting out laughing. I'm like, what's so funny? He's like, I'm going to do a shirt and it's going to say Josh and it's going to look like Jaws. And it's going to have Tua swimming instead of the girl from the poster. And I was like, dude, go. And like, it just like comes out of nowhere sometimes. And then a lot of times, like one of the other employees, we have one thing I can say is in our team, whether you're shipping t-shirts, you're designing the shirts, you're writing tweets, you're ordering shirts from the vendors, you're planning events. I guess I'll throw myself in. You own the company, whatever. Everybody has a creative mind. Yeah. Everybody's opinion is valid. We meet once a week, and we have our team meeting basically. And often part of that is like a brainstorming session, and sometimes it goes way off track, and in a good way. Right. And holy cow, we just designed 3 shirts, or we just conceived 3 shirts. Yeah. And it's great having so many creative minds, because a lot of times one person will have an idea, and then somebody else can take that ball, and then they carry it to the goal line, and then they hand it off to somebody, and that other person punches it in. Right. And so having all this creativity in one room is just, it's great. Yeah. It's great. It's awesome. And I'm honestly in awe of, you know, sometimes how my employees are just able to like bang, 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 just riff off each other to the point like, holy cow, we just came up with a shirt idea, and it turns out, look, oh wow, it sold 900 shirts, and we just raised, you know, that much money for, you know,
that's what I'm always amazed at, because I am not a creative person, and every time I see like a new design come from you, I'm like, where are they getting all these ideas? Like,
sometimes, I mean, I'll be honest, we do rely heavily on parodies. We really do. Like even right now, like we have several designs available right now as new designs that are just straight up parodies. And that sometimes it's like, we got to come up with something more original. You know. But to be fair, like if we're putting out this many shirts, like we gotta go to go to the. It's tough to go to the well all the time, so we have to you know, do that. But people love it too, though, because people love Buffalo and they love what they love. So it's a joke that we have in the office is that our best business idea is find something that people love and shove a buffalo in it.
Yeah, it's true.
And
and that's the whole thing too. It's like going back to people love Buffalo. I don't know. I've been to some other cities, but are there other cities that have a Buffalo store or have a Pittsburgh store? You know, I'm just saying it's.
Well, Pittsburgh, yes, but other cities, right? Though, like
you know, people love to buy things that say Buffalo, and that's, you know, when you go anywhere else, it's like a tourist thing. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like, you're not wrong. Right.
But how awesome is that? Because I mean, we're similar age. Growing up, like you were not raised to be proud of Buffalo.
Right. Exactly.
It wasn't like, where are you from? Buffalo. I'm sorry, I'm from Buffalo.
Well, we were talking proud though.
We were talking proud, so that was good for a minute. Yeah, but seriously though, it was like every time like a national article would talk about the Bills, it was always the NFL team, and they would use it in contrast to the empty buildings downtown and all these different things like
what else? The weather.
The weather, yeah.
I mean, it was like you were embarrassed to be on TV because what is it doing in Buffalo? Oh, it's another 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, and that's all we were known. That's all we were known for is abandoned steel mills and snow.
I know exactly.
And it's so awesome now that
Yeah.
I mean, my daughter, she has a tattoo of a buffalo. Yeah, awesome,
Yeah,
right? Like
right.
this is where we're from.
Yeah.
We're proud of it, so it's great.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole thing, and that's what I always go back to. Also, it's what other cities have a store where you can buy buffalo stuff and it's not in an airport or whatever?
Yeah, there's just so much civic pride here.
Yeah,
and it wasn't always like that, like we were saying. So,
but I think that comes from, like, maybe it comes from our generation that you're like you grew up with being kind of embarrassed from Buffalo, but now you're like, yeah, this place is awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's really turned around. Obviously, turned around with everything going on downtown and. The whole revitalization of the whole city and the suburbs, to be honest. I mean, I drove down. Have you been through downtown Lancaster recently?
No, I'm not.
Like I grew up kind of in that area, and that whole, there's like a little downtown strip. It's not much, but now they have a brewery. They've got shops going on.
Everybody's got
I know,
a brewery.
it's like they're just putting everything, but all these little pockets
awesome.
that are like, just, oh my God, that place is awesome. Like we happen to drive I don't know where the heck we were, but we just drove through there, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to drive downtown Lancaster. Like, holy cow, this is like way different than I remember it.
Yeah, we're definitely in the middle of a renaissance right now, and it's awesome to see it come to life. I don't know, it's great because I remember Steve Tasker said in an interview once, or a documentary or something, and I think it still holds true. That might change eventually. People might start moving here, but. He said what makes Buffalo so special is that if you live in Buffalo, it's because chances are you were born in Buffalo. This isn't like a big magnet for transplants. This isn't Charlotte. This isn't Washington, D.C. area, Texas, Florida. Like overall, generally speaking, people aren't moving to Buffalo. Right. But the people that are here grew up here. They love it here. They want their kids to stay here. Their kids maybe want to stay here. At least not, compared to now, like when we were in high school, like half the people I graduated from high school live, south from here, whether it's Charlotte or Virginia or Texas. But yeah, I don't know. It's just nice to see the Renaissance happening, and it's nice for our business to play a small part celebrating it.
Right, exactly, and that's great to see because when like when we were younger, like I said, it's just we were not. There was no like pride, I don't know if it's pride or whatever, but it was just not there. The feeling wasn't there. No. The feeling's here for sure now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, especially, and like whatever, a lot of it's got to do with the sports teams and how they're doing, and for sure. But a lot of it also has to do with the businesses and,
It does. Yeah, it does have to do with the sports teams help. But even before Josh Allen, even before Brandon Beane, and even before the Pagulas, like that was there. That was building.
Oh, for
that was
sure,
building for sure. Obviously, it's kind of kicked it into a higher gear.
Yeah.
But it's it's a great time to be a Western New Yorker.
Yeah, it is. No, I appreciate you coming on, and I that's the whole thing with this part of our podcast. It's like I want to bring on people that I value and I think can bring value and can spread the word that that other people will find them interesting and draw from. You know what I mean? That's what I've wanted to do with this part of the Loungin with Larry podcast is that I brought on other people too that I just like find inspiring or positive and bring obviously you've been doing this for how many years has 26 years been around?
It's been around for 9. I've been doing it full time for a little over 7 now.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's like I want to get if you can bring a little bit of positivity into the world that's has so much negativity into it. I mean that's part of the reason that that I had this idea of starting this business focused podcast is that just bring on interesting people and people that I think are amazing, you know what I mean, and can bring value to everybody else that I want to put it out there, even like you said, even if it's only a few people listening, who cares? but it is what it is. I mean, that's the whole thing. But it's amazing. So I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
I'm honored. Like number 4, you said? That's pretty
number
cool.
4, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm like thank you for the invite. That's
No,
awesome.
you've been on my list, but yeah, ever since we talked a couple weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, let's get you on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, rock on.
Especially, but yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like, how many more people do I know, and how many more people can I get on that I find inspiring and are positive? And you know, it's like that's, you know, this whole world today is so much at each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that's a whole nother podcast, right?
No,
Oh my gosh.
No,
But,
I know,
you know,
and I
it's
don't,
just-
and I try and stay like away from politics and the whole, like, you know, everyone has their own views and whatever, and I don't judge anybody for what they view or whatever, but it's, you know, I try and veer away from that and try and, you know, bring to myself, you know, inspiring things. You know?
Right. And we're all going to have our own perspective. We're all going to have our own viewpoints, and they're all in us for different reasons.
Right.
But so let's focus on what unites us.
Yeah.
That's always that's always been my favorite thing about sports is that like you go to a Bills game or a Sabres game or a Bison's game or whatever, and in the stands you have people from every socioeconomic background, all different faiths, all different skin colors, everything, and they have so many differences between them, both, you know, inside and obvious on the outside, but they can all agree on one thing for 3 hours, and that's that the Bills are way better than the Patriots. Now, thank goodness it took long enough.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We all have that same rooting interest. It's just
that's
a
the whole
beautiful
thing. It's funny you say that, because I just wrote a post about that I think it was last week, about people in Buffalo and how everyone goes to the office on Fridays and wears their Bill stuff, right? And I'm like, it just hit me that morning where I was like, oh, it's Friday. I'm going to, you know, I got to wear my Bill stuff, whatever. And I'm like, you know, this is a really uniting thing, because everybody goes to the office and wears their Bill stuff, and it's whatever differences you have are gone that day. You know what I mean?
And that's if we could touch on the Bills real quickly. I know this is the business podcast, but that's why it's like the 90s again.
Right.
Like my wife's a teacher. She goes to school every Friday. She's wearing Bill stuff.
Right.
It is something that unites the community, you know. And it's always kind of been there, even during the drought. But now it's just like people are just everybody's grandmother is aware of what's going on.
Exactly. You know, and that's the thing that like I said, I woke up a couple Fridays ago and I'm like, yeah, shit. You know what? This is really like, you know, this is a thing that people go to work and they're wearing their Bill stuff and they're talking about the Bills and what's the game this weekend, and like everybody forgets about whether they like Biden or Trump, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever. Heck with that discussion. We're going to talk about the Bills.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to talk about how we're going to beat Lamar Jackson this weekend or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. So it's inspiring.
But both the Bills and Sabres are unique. They're not unique, but because there are several teams that do this, but like they directly reference the city they represent in their logo.
Yeah.
So it's not like you could move this team and they could just be the Austin Bills or the you know, whatever, because or I guess Buffalo Bill. That's a weird name. But you know what I mean? Like they have to change the logo because it doesn't fly. That's the team, the civic pride, to completely contradict what I was saying a few moments ago about like the pride and the teams and everything.
Yeah.
The civic pride is very much interwoven with you know, the teams, and you know, good on them. They do a great job of bringing everybody in. It's like, listen, we represent you.
It is. Yeah. It's amazing. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on, and, you know, I definitely wanted to get you on eventually, but, you know, wanted to get you on.
No, this is great. I appreciate you hosting me in this fine garage setup you have. It's meant with zero sarcasm. I love it here. This is fantastic. This is
well,
such
you can
awesome
come
setup.
over anytime and
Don't tell me
watch
that.
the game.
Don't tell me that.
Hanging out.
Yo, anybody in there? Like, dude, it's Tuesday night. What is going on? I just want to hang out in the garage.
I don't know. Come on down. It's like the hangout place, like on Seinfeld. What was that one episode where they're like the place or whatever? Remember? They had that pool table where they like could barely shoot the.
Yeah.
It was like called the place or whatever.
Yeah. Was it Kramer and George's dad? I think set it up or something. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. This is much nicer than what they had.
It's the place.
It's fantastic.
All right, dude. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, follow, what is it, 26shirts.com?
26shirts.com. We're on every social media platform, just 26shirts.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter, Del Reid, DELREID.
Yep. Yeah, we'll put all that in the show notes or whatever, and we'll do it. All right.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Take care. Go Bills.
Awesome.
Yeah, how you living, B? Yo, I'm lounging. Yeah, how you living, Ski? Yo, I'm just lounging, B.
That was terrible.
It's like water.
That sounds terrible. It's like that Michelob Ultra. It's like, cool, it's yellow water. Thanks.
It's worse than that. It's much worse. It's like, it almost tastes like seltzer. It almost tastes like a beer, like somebody took a can of club soda and poured a little beer in it.
No.
That's what it tastes
Why
like.
are you just drink water then? It's better for you. If you're gonna do that, just go all in. Just drink water.
I know.
I don't get it.
It is not good.
Like my problem is like I don't, I'm not. I mean, believe it or not, I'm not a big beer guy. As much as I enjoy like craft beers, but I like finding like a craft beer and enjoying.
Right.
But like porters and stouts, each one's probably, I don't even know. I don't want to know. Each one's probably like 1,500 calories.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're so good.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna drink this stuff you're just describing just to drink it. Like,
I know.
I don't know. It seems pointless.
It is. It is weird.
Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, some of those are super. Like, you like IPAs too, or no?
I do. IPAs are kind of like what got me into the whole craft beer thing, and I like them. But I'm not like super well versed on all of this. But
Not either.
once I discovered sours, so sours were my favorite.
Yeah.
And then I kind of discovered porters and stouts.
Yeah.
And now those are my favorite. And next year will probably be something else.
Switch it up.
Yeah.
All right. So we're recording. All right.
That's a terrible intro if that's the intro.
That's the intro. We're good. Beer intro. That's all right.